Billy, you talked about icons pushing other women forward. We've seen in the past Adidas, which is the sponsor of FIFA, doing montages in which we saw Ali jogging alongside with Zidane and Beckham. Could you imagine doing something similar just alongside players like Sibel Kikali and maybe Alex Morgan, Hope Solo?
Well, that's what I would want them to do, but a lot of times some companies doesn't cross their brain that people really do care about women athletes. And it would be great if they had an iconic with, it's great, then and now is fun. When you have an older person with a younger person, people love that. It's cross-generational. That's what they should do. It's too bad they don't have Muhammad Ali with his daughter Layla Ali running side by side. That'd be a great ad. That'd be a fun one too. I'm just giving you different. See, I like marketing, so my brain's already starting to go since you asked me that question. But no, I think it would be great. I think it would be wonderful.
How do you address constant criticism of women? When I founded the company, I was set off to just hire women alongside men, not only have men appear in television. Everyone keeps telling me it's not possible, no one will listen to the women's expertise, no one will take her seriously. I always have to fight that back. I imagine you had to fight that back 1/100th of a time.
Well, you have Jessica Mendoza, which I realize softball's not big here, but she's now doing Major League Baseball, and everyone's just loving her. But you've got to give people opportunities, and people have to get used to it. Another thing that happens is people get used to the male voice. It's got to be very low. So you'll find that women that have lower voices usually have a better chance to do well in television. It's very interesting. I don't think most people even notice that, but I'm always noticing the women who usually make it usually have a little deeper voice. Like Mary Carrillo in tennis, for instance, has a deep voice. People love Mary. She does her homework, though. She's an absolute great journalist, and so it happens. But I think you just have to keep pushing the envelope because people will listen, and you have to have stories that women like. Women are about relationships. We love relationships. Like if you're coaching a women's team versus a men's team, men are really interested in the hierarchy. They're used to they grow up that way. So they can have a coach yell at them and they know who their superstar is on the team, and the other guys just follow suit. With women, this is where women have a lot of work ahead of them. Okay, if the woman's a superstar and the coach says something in front of the team, the superstar later will tell the coach, oh, don't say I'm a superstar. Oh, no, we're all the same. Oh, like this. Wrong. You're the superstar. They're going to throw the ball to you. That's where women, with the way we're socialized, is very different. So when you're coaching women's teams, men's teams, it's very different. We're more about relationships, keeping it kind of even, and the women I think we have to change actually in that area. But we're socialized a certain way, believe me. We get very strong messages from the time we're born, the way we're supposed to be. Even if you have a great home life, as soon as you start to go out in public and you go to school and you get to hear kids, and then you hear by the time you're 7 or 8 years old, you come home and you've already realized it's not the same. And the parents go, but we bring you up a certain way. It doesn't matter. It's the socialization is absolutely paramount importance. And that's why if you can see it, you can be it. And you got to keep showing young people. And women can inspire just like men inspire. Certain personalities inspire. So it's very, very important that, you just push the envelope. Because it's very important to think about women and potential, not just on their performance as well. Because, as I said in my speech, women are hired on their performance and never hired on potential, and men are hired on potential. So I think it's interesting study, but you know what? It's great for men if there's more equality. They don't realize it yet, but they've done all kinds of studies. No, a lot of them do, a lot of them don't. But they've done tons of studies. Dr. Kimball, if you got to hear him, he's right on the money. I mean, I grew up with a brother. I had a great father who encouraged me, and my mother were very good. But my dad was really the primary centerpiece of my early life because he's such a jock. He was such an athlete. And my brother and I were just crazed about our sports. Anything with a ball, we were happy, especially hand-eye coordination, whereas, of course, football. Forgot where I was. You know what happens? Yeah. I know, but when I'm home, I say football, and they think American football. Sure. And I always say American football, usually in football. And then when I'm home, they go, no, you have to call it soccer. I'm like, can we just call it football? Are we the only country? Is there one other country?
Australia.
Canada.
Yeah, Australia, Canada.
No, anyway, I like football. Yeah, football. I like to say football for the world. American football for the NFL. How's that?
Of all the organisations and corporations that you've seen and visited and spoken to in various positions of crisis or success on the cycle, what's your sense from the snapshot today of where FIFA is, where it wants to be, its openness to change, its ripeness?
This is where bold leadership is everything. You know, this is where Gianni, he told me, not Gianni, I like to call him Gianni now, I'm teasing, but this is where leadership has to step up. And this is where you do need bold leadership, like I said in my speech. It's really important. So we'll see. It's too early to tell. But I did give my 3 statements that I wanted to see happen. And, you know, a third of, on the executive committee and the general counsel, whoever they, the CEO, some people call it. It's got to be somebody who has a track record in gender equality. It's very important. And then I think they strategically need to sit down and really think how to commercialize and how to get the women's professional game, even get more exposure, because it's proven now with the Americans, the way Canada did it, the England's now coming up. If you invest in the women, if you invest in young girls, you're going to have great teams. People do care, they care, and both men and women watch us. Just like in tennis, we're almost 50-50. So if you're out there and you're you have the exposure and people get to know you as a person, not just, oh, you have a good, a great kick or a great backhand or whatever. They think you're a person. If they get to know about you, your family life, and who you are, how you think, then it's fun for them. It's not just, it has very little to do with their athletic talent, actually, unless you're just an absolute superstar. Most of it is, what kind of person is that person? They think they know you. That is the most important thing. That's why you talk, when you go to an interview, you don't talk about I hit a great bet. You might bring it up, but you bring in the human element. The human element is what matters to people. It's connecting with people out there. It's connecting, saying, I care about you. And hopefully they're sincere. That's really important too.
Did you get to connect with Gianni today?
Yes, Gianni. We talked, we sat and talked, and we had photos taken, and I listened to him. And the first day on the job, he had, which I thought was great. Yesterday was his first job. Today is his second. He had a football game with everybody, all his associates, the staff, and I thought that was a great. That told me something. He really loves it, and it's a good way to get people reconnected and start over. So I thought that was brilliant as far as a great idea for his first day back yesterday. And of course, today he got bombarded by us, and he's still got lots of meetings. It's too early to tell. He seems very sincere. He said he's all in, and if you can bring all of yourself to something, that's really huge. And he said he had no idea he was going to get elected, and all of a sudden people wanted him to get going, and then he went to almost everybody's country and talked with them. So that had to be exhausting. What is it, 112 countries or something?
Something like that, 3 months.
No, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but he really paid his dues by going to them, reaching out to them. That shows me leadership. Yeah. But it's too early to tell, because you really do have to put the pedal to the metal to make this happen on the 3 things. I mean, I talked to Moya, I talked to some of the others, and that's, just coming up what's going to work. And the reason a third's so important, usually when you get a third of new people in, let's say it's all women, let's just reverse it, and you need 30% men to start to change the dynamics. I think it's more like 33 to 30% really, but that's why I came up, and we came up with that number, because we know from data and from studies that's how many you need for change. If you keep it at 10%, 20%, you'll have no change. Women will have not that much of an influence. It's just like the Congress of the United States. We're not quite up to 20%. We're not even close yet. So you need to get into that third, and then that starts to shift. There's a tipping point involved there in having a voice.
Do you think the FIFA's obviously going to be in a lot of change, a lot of flux with new leadership? Are you looking for women to take the positions of things like commercial directors, sales directors?
All the way through. All the way through, they need to be a part of it, because they understand themselves well. Usually it's listen, why do you think I got so much attention when I played Bobby Riggs, for instance? You weren't around, you're too young, but it was huge. No, it was huge. There's 90 million people, it was huge, okay? Why do you think why didn't they pay that much attention to me before? The difference is I was in a men's arena, and men control 90% of the media. So until it's about them, they're not interested. But as soon as I'm up against a male, all of a sudden I got all that attention. That is the primary reason, and that's a fact. Sonika Sorenstam, when she played the PGA tournament at the Colonial, she's never had more publicity than that. She didn't even make the cut, and she had the most publicity she ever had. Why? It's a men's tournament. Now all of a sudden they're interested in us because we're in their territory. So we need to be very sensitive to that and start pushing women and women's sports because of who they are. And they're great athletes, and they're competent, and they've got personalities, and they're accomplished. In my day, the night I played Bobby Riggs and I'm coming out on this Egyptian litter and waving, the announcer, Howard Cosell, who was the #1 guy in the country at the time, guess what he talked about? He talked about my looks the whole time I came out. Not once did he say I had won Wimbledon. Not once did he say my accomplishments. He only talked if she'd do this to her hair, no glasses, she might have an acting career in Hollywood. Not one thing about me as an athlete. And that's what, it still exists today. Because 95% of the media is still controlled by men, and I just want the men to think it's their daughter, and what would they want? That's all they have to start thinking. This is my daughter out there. How would I want the world to look at her? How would I want her to be perceived? Okay, instead of the other. So, I think it's very important for us to think about it, because I'm always sensitive to boys too. Like, okay, what's going to work with them, or what's going to work with this person, with their personality? It's very important to take one by one by one.
Is there any reason why women can't coach men's professional
No, there's no
soccer
reason.
teams or referee men's professional
If you know the
matches?
sport, you know the sport. I've coached men and women, and
because I think there's one professional women's coach in
we don't
men's
have
soccer
enough
in
women playing. We don't have enough coming through the pipeline. You've got to get a lot of people coming through the pipeline. Things have to change. Attitudes have to change. If I'm a men's team and I don't want her on the team, she won't be on the team. But some men are much more enlightened now, and they're younger. Every time we get into, each generation goes by, the younger guys are fantastic. I mean, I was around 14-year-olds last weekend teaching them, coaching them, and they're hilarious. You know, they're so different from the 14-year-olds when I was growing up, the boys. They just, you know, they have friends that are girls, not just girlfriends. They look at us very differently than my generation would have looked at us. So that gives me hope.
Just in a comparison to tennis, obviously you have your separate tours, but you have the Grand Slams together. And how important do you think that still is now?
We actually have 40% of our tournaments are together. Yeah, because we have like Indian Wells, which is huge. We have Cincinnati, it's huge. We have Miami, that's huge. So the women and men actually are together in 40% of the tournaments. And then you, of course, the majors, the slams, they've changed the name. Don Budge, who created this idea, is turning in his grave every time he hears the word slams, because he loved the majors. He used to go, don't call it slams, it's majors. So, but I call it whatever you guys want.
So obviously that's quite important in publicising women's tennis.
It's great. We're very lucky.
So do you think that's the possibility in women's football?
Yes, I've thought about it. Because they play on the same field. In golf, they don't have the same course. But on the field of soccer, yes, I've thought about them. I would think the women, in the beginning, the women could play the first game. Because, first of all, I'm just saying in the United States. I'll use, because I understand the United States. In the United States, it's usually white suburbia that's girls' soccer. Okay, the soccer moms, they call them, football moms. Okay, the men has a lot of immigrants. They have a lot of Latino, Hispanic, other different countries. I've always thought that they could get both. They could get both. You see, if you had women in the beginning, okay, but you start getting all the demographics together. If you had the women's first game, the men right after it. I thought they should at least try to. I've thought about this for probably 15 years.
I think it's still a problem in England, because in England, like the big city clubs like Arsenal, they play in the city. The Arsenal ladies team, they play outside the city.
It's the same thing.
Different kind of crowd.
But that's the good part. They bring both crowds together, and then the men would have more demographics, and the women would have more demographics. I've thought about this since, because I've always thought, why not try it at least a couple of times? It'd be fun.
In Switzerland, we do that with the cup finals.
Does it work?
Yeah, it works. If you
I'm
buy the
telling
ticket
you.
for the cup finals of men's, you just have a free ticket to the cup finals of women, and then they.
I think in rugby as well.
I don't like the
And
free
then
part.
they-
I don't like the free part, but I like
Well, yeah, but
I like the
then
idea.
They get like an audience of 30,000.
instead of a few, right? It's a beginning.
Yeah.
No, it's a beginning. You don't understand. It's fine. I'll finish. I'll finish. No, because in the old days, we didn't have social media and these guys told my story, our story. So I don't ever forget that. I don't forget this. I don't forget the cameras. I don't forget the people who do the print, because they told our story. And if our story didn't get out there, we weren't going to make it. So be very proud of yourselves. Pat yourself on the
Not how
back.
they see us today.
I know they don't, but I do.
Especially male footballers.
But I do.
Because what you said about women footballers having to tell the story, but I don't know.
You got to tell stories.
I don't know if you've seen an interview with a professional male footballer, but it's exactly the opposite of what you're saying.
I know what they do.
They come out with these standard
Because they don't think about you guys. You got to think about.
I paid the renters not to
No, I know it's about money. A lot of it, they don't care anymore. But they need to give it up. When I'm going to give an interview, I know what you guys need. First of all, you have deadlines. We've always taught our players in team tennis. And we're called Milan World Team Tennis. We make the player give interviews immediately on the court after the match, especially for the print guys. We make them, but I explain why. I said, you guys, they have deadlines. You got to think about them too, and they're very good. It's only 5 minutes. It's only 5 minutes. I know, but tennis should do it. Just do it as soon as they come off. And at Wimbledon, I don't understand this. Oh, they have to go take a shower, and then they get them in.
They keep you on court, don't they? It's because
Get them in the media room.
It's a right sort of thing, isn't it?
Just go right to the media, get it done, and then go take care of yourself. It's ridiculous.
It's a right sort of thing.
No, because we need you guys. Everybody needs each other, okay? You need us for stories. We need you.
I know that.
But I know that. But you have to also remember, I've owned tournaments. I've owned teams. We own team tennis now. For instance, I own the Philadelphia Freedoms. I know what you guys need because I've lived it. I've been a player, been an owner. I get it. I've been on the business side. But the players have never been on the business side. They have no clue. I go, how do you think those towels got out here? They go, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, well, how'd the towels get here? How'd you get here? Oh, they brought me over. Who brought you over? Oh, that's transportation. Somebody had to get in the car and take you over here. Yeah? Well, that's work. I said, you realize how much coordination it takes to put on an event? I mean, even to do this conference. It's amazing. It's a lot of work.
You notice the change between your day and...
Oh, it's totally different. The first 2 generations are about we and them, you guys.